Okay, today's video we're going to talk about how to make any basic Google display campaign work better than it is right now, or working, that you've had running already. If you're looking to do Google Display Network traffic, if you're doing Google search ads, Google Display Network can be a really great way to scale your business. You can watch some of my other videos about Google Display Network and getting it set up right. For the most 95% of people who do Google Display Network won't make money at it. That's just simply because they don't really spend much time in it setting it up, and there's a much greater learning curve to get it done right than it is with search ads. So search ads, people already are looking for what you sell. You just got to show up for the right keyword. You pretty much got it. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but comparatively speaking, with Google Display Network ads, you got to be able to have a good pitch. Somebody ain't looking to buy what you have. You got to be able to have a good hook. You got to be able to get somebody who is statistically likely to be wanting to buy your product, and you got to be able to filter out the people who are not. Otherwise, you'll go broke targeting the people who are not willing to buy in order to get in front of those few people that are willing to buy. So, and as it comes to Google Display Network traffic, to make more money from your campaigns, once you have a good offer, a good ad with a good hook on it, and you've gotten past that part, most of it comes down to squeezing or narrowing down your targeting on that campaign so that you're targeting just the people who want to buy. Any other display advertising online that you do, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, it's all the same. How can we find a group of people that's so statistically likely to buy from us that the money that these ad networks are charging us to get in front of these people is really a second thought? If you could do that for your market and for what you're selling, it'll always make money. That, though, is much harder said than done, which is why most people don't make money with Google Display Network ads, and a lot more people make money with Facebook ads versus Google Display Network, because Facebook makes it easier to target that key group of people. Facebook has access to data that Google necessarily can't tap into per se. The nature of the ads will work a little bit differently, but they help you target the right people and make it easier than Google Display Network does for the most part. With Google Display Network, you got to be able to work harder to find that specific perfect group of people that's perfect to target. That I always call it the 1% rule on this channel. If the group of people that you're targeting, 1% or greater, would think that's a great, amazing product or service that you would get in front of, you're going to make money. If it's less than that, you could still make money, but it's going to be a lot harder to do, because obviously, like I said, the more people you target who don't want your product or service, the less profitable your campaign gets. So are you smart enough to figure out how to target a group of people with all the different targeting settings and options that Google Display Network has to find that 1% or greater saturation point or audience that will give you that want your product or service? So anyway, there's a lot of different ways to narrow that audience down. The main thing that I mentioned on my other channels or other videos, on how to narrow your audience down, is you use combined segments where you're saying a person must be this, must be this, must be this, must be this, and if they're not all four of these things combined, don't have my ad show up for them. Or you just target people who've been on your competitor's page, which is really easy to do. And a lot of people don't know that you can do that specifically on Google Display Network. Generally speaking, in the order of things, you're targeting people that have been on your site before. That's number one. Two, then you're targeting people who have heard or been talking about your brand recently. Then you're targeting people who have heard or been talking about or been on your competitor's sites recently. Then you get into identifying what is your best customer that just basically, once you get that person on the hook as a prospect, they almost always buy. And then finding out what their unique profile or signature is, and then set up your targeting to target that specific person, and then have a specific message for that specific person. So if somebody is that, to give you an example, is you're targeting people who you're selling granite countertop installation, and your best, easiest customer to close is somebody that's getting granite countertops installed in a new house they're moving into soon. Then you target people who have searched for granite countertop installation in the near past and are looking at new houses and also are clearly show signs that they're moving to make it even more, more sure. You're making making your targeting more accurate in that, you're making sure that you're targeting people that are actually moving into a new house. You could target it for people looking at new houses, but that doesn't tell you for sure if they're moving. Then, you target people that are on a new mover list, and then you target people who have searched on Google recently for granite countertop insulation. When you combine all those segments together, you've got somebody that matches the type of person that you can normally sell to in 2 seconds. And then you, on top of that, put together an ad that says, granite new mover special, get granite countertops installed in the month of May and get a 50% off this month only. Good for Phoenix residents, and then you target that person to somebody that's in Phoenix. This is kind of how it all works. So the targeting has to be super relevant if you're going to get outside of targeting people that you already know and heard of you before, and people that have been to your competitor's site for the most part. And once you target not just your ideal, a customer that could buy, but probably a certain type of customer that buys, because you have certain types of customers that buy for different reasons. And then you have a specific message for that specific type of buyer to really reel them in. And so that when they see that ad, they say, you can answer the questions, why me, why now? Why me? Well, I'm, in that example I gave you, I'm moving soon. And therefore, and I'm needing to get granite countertops installed. This is the perfect ad for me. That's the type of level of targeting that you need with Google Display Network to generally do really, really well with it for most markets. Not always, but in a good chunk of the time, you have to get that kind of creative with it, if you will. So I just wanted to start out the video giving you an example about the Google Display Network. But beyond that, there's many different ways to narrow down your targeting. One of which is when you look at where your ads showed up, you start getting rid of placements, as they called it, that didn't work. Getting your ads were showing up in places that weren't profitable to you, and then you start cutting back. And the 80-20 rule applies. 80% of your sales are going to occur from 20% of the places that your ads showed up. And so you can go through your data, and when you've advertised enough, you know exactly what didn't work. You can get rid of that stuff, and now you're at profitability. So a lot of people think that ads should just be profitable right away on Google Display Network or any other place they're advertising. And the reality is that's really stupid. In the beginning, you're paying for the data that tells you what works and what doesn't work, because you're going to take a scientific approach to this, which is what the people that make millions of dollars do, that run PPC ads, do. You're going to peel back all the stuff that doesn't work after 3 to 6 months of running your ads, and now you're going to be profitable. I can tell you 80% of the time I've ever put together a multi-million-dollar a year campaign for a client in which it was profitable. The results came after we figured out what didn't work, and so we could focus on exactly what did work. Because even though we could pretty well tell what kind of stuff that works in the ad and what general targeting works, it still doesn't work extremely well until you can peel back certain age demographics, gender demographics, and so forth that just didn't get you the return you wanted, or cost per lead, or cost per sale you wanted. So as it comes to this topic here, the reason why you always want to exclude on Google Display Network your ads showing up for people that are playing games is because statistically those people are generally very less likely, or generally not very likely to buy your product or service. So as it goes to the 80-20 rule, the 80% that doesn't really get you any sales, or should I say, basically the part of your account that doesn't generally get you any sales, a lot of it statistically is coming from people playing games. So if you just weed out all the people playing games from seeing your ads, you're automatically going to put yourself in a better position to have that much more profitability. And once you add, this and a few other things, now your campaign's profitable. But respectively, at least for B2B niches, the reason why you want to not have your ads shown on games is because your targeted audience that you're trying to get in front of, their kids are going to be the ones seeing the ad. Because basically, kids, get on the computers, they start playing games, because it's obviously not your customer playing, Candy Crush. Sometimes, obviously, there's some adults playing the game. In fact, there's more female gamers than male gamers now when you contact, games like Candy Crush now, believe it or not. But for the most part, a lot of times, or enough of it, there's enough kids getting on the computer, getting on the tablet, after the adults have been on the computer because the family shares the device. Your ads are being hosted or shown to people that obviously had no purchasing power, and it would have no effect on them anyway. So you don't want your ads to show up in front of your targeted prospects' kids, since more people than just your targeted prospect shares that device many times. And respectively, most of the games are apps now. So generally speaking, advertising on apps is not very good, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But with that, a lot of the game ad impressions, a lot of the ad impressions you get that are on games are going to be on apps. So, get people that are playing a game on an app, the likelihood that they're going to stop playing that game on that app to buy something from you or respond into a lead is very, very low. Of course, there's value in somebody seeing an ad that says you got this award, so that a week later when they go to buy, they remember you. That's certainly, I talk about that all the time on this channel. It's not remarketing. If you're talking about remarketing to somebody, having an ad show up for somebody after they've been to your site to close the sale, you don't need them to click on the ad and buy right then to get an overall, ROI from that ad, because it makes other traffic that you spend, much more money to get to your site in the first place, makes that convert into a customer at a higher rate, which is why you do it. But respectively, in terms of the stuff that will directly convert into a sale, the apps are generally lower down on the totem pole. And then beyond just apps, people playing games on the apps are like the worst of the worst. So anyway, I mentioned in other videos before that if you are in a B2B niche, or you're selling to businesses, you should look into just excluding ad placements on all apps altogether, for the reason, like I just said, that people that are, as compared to like reading a news article and then seeing a banner ad on CNN.com that asks them to book a luxury vacation, that's a lot easier sell than somebody playing or doing something on an app. They're on it's on Google Maps, or it's an app that helps somebody measure something for a hobby that they're doing. The likelihood that they're going to go book a vacation and they're in that situation is a lot lower than while they were reading the news article. There's a lot less of an ask to get them to stop what they're doing to go do something else, in other words. So I've mentioned on my other videos before that if you are in a business, at least specifically in a business-to-business context selling to businesses, I would just get rid of apps, showing on apps altogether, because just from the standpoint that on most of the, even if we're running search campaigns for a client, we're not going to show up on Google search even on the weekends, late at night, like past 8 o'clock or 8 p.m., because the typical person we need to sell to, the decision maker, isn't going to be thinking about making a business decision or basically a business decision past those key times and key times of the day and days of the week. And going further than that, they're not going to be typically making a business decision once they're on leisure time and they're inside of an app. So business to business companies, I just exclude my ads, whether they're marketing ads or whatever, on apps completely. So whether they're games or not, apps completely I'll just exclude. For business to consumers, you're selling not to businesses, showing up on apps actually a lot of times is good still, because from the standpoint, yes, it's a little harder to get an ROI. It's harder to get them to buy once they're within an app, yes. But generally speaking, when you're talking about remarketing specifically and showing up for people who have already been to your site, and you only have so many opportunities to remarket to somebody, it'll still be profitable to remarket to somebody that's on an app, so we're still doing it. But for business to business, not so much, basically. Anyway, if you don't really know if you should exclude all apps, and I know this is getting outside the topic of games, but I just wanted to throw in some extra information in here so you understand, get some extra bonus gains on your campaign and put yourself in a little bit better position to win as well. If you don't know if showing up on apps is good or not for you, you can go under the, there's a report in your campaign called the Where Ads Showed report. And you could go there and then you could filter all the placements that it shows your ad actually showed up on, and then filter by app or app. And then it'll show you what your cost per lead is or ROI is for everything that was on an app versus everything else. And then you can make your determination, do I want to exclude all apps or not? Okay. Unfortunately, if you wanted to do the same kind of thing to see if you show up on games or not, there's no easy way to do that. If you just try to filter by game or games, it doesn't do what it would for apps, unfortunately. So you could kind of go through that same where ad showed report to see if you should show up on games or not. But just going through and seeing if the apps are profitable or not, that should pretty much give you a general idea if games are profitable or not for you. So this is another thing to do while you're trying to make your, if you're, in terms of excluding games, check, your app, see if apps are even converting for you. Maybe you'll exclude them altogether. But anyway, with all that said, if you want to exclude games, which if your campaign's not doing the ROI that you want, excluding games pretty much is the first thing that I would try. If not, then I would try to exclude all apps. But to exclude all games, you could exclude all the apps and still show up on games, because there's not just games on apps. There's games on and within a website itself, flash games and so forth. So it's a little bit different. To exclude all the games, having your ad show up on games that are on apps itself, there's a specific process that you'll want to go through for that, and I gave it to you here step by step or click by click. The first thing you do is you go into your display campaign, you go to ad group targeting, which you could go to just under content, and then click on topics, and then click the plus icon, and then click on ad group targeting, and then from there, go to placements on the screen that pops up, and then go to excluded placements. Then click on the pencil icon within the excluded placements, and then select this campaign from the sub drop down that is within the excluded placements, so that when you exclude these games, it's applied to all ad groups in your display campaign, so you don't have to add these one by one in every single ad group. And then once you select this campaign, in the search box under excluded placements, search for GAME or game. And then from there, select all 36 related categories under apps that are related to games. So basically, it'll under Apple and Android apps, there's 36 related game categories under the Android and Apple apps in the App Store. And then so it's exactly 36. When you got them all, when you've selected all 36. Then you click save. Once you've done all that, now your ads will not be able to show up on any more game apps from now on. But like I said before, there's more than just game apps. There's games on websites, flash games and so forth, which are just as bad. If one doesn't work, the other won't work. And so to exclude all your ads from showing up on any web-based games or flash-based games that are not within a specific standalone app, you're going to go to you're assuming you're starting out from scratch here again. Go to your campaign, then go to under content, click topics, and then click the plus icon, and then go to ad group targeting. From there, you're going to click on topics this time. Then you're going to click the pencil icon, and then you're going to click this campaign under the drop down itself within the negative topics under the excuse me, I think I got this slightly out of order here. You go to the topics, you're going to go to topics and then excluded topics. Then you're going to click on the pencil icon. Then you're going to click from the drop down within excluded topics. You're going to click this campaign, so you can apply this exclusion list to all your ad groups in that campaign, like I was talking about before. And then you're going to search in the search box for game, GAME, and then you're going to exclude all 4 relevant categories with games in it. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different games that you could exclude, but if you select the 4 game categories that contain all the games within it. You only have to select the 4 check boxes for games. And then you can click save. And then that will actually exclude all the games, the online web games, flash games, and so forth from having your ad show up on those games. So with that said, going back to full circle what I was talking about here before, you could go into your where ads shown report under my display campaign to see if I want to exclude all apps or not, because you can see the performance on apps versus non-apps. I mentioned before, you can't really see the performance versus games versus all games at a quick glance. So if you're unsure if you should remove all the games or not, and you're like in a B2C business or you're selling not to businesses where it could go kind of technically either way, well, like I said, first of all, if you're not getting the ROI you want, I would just automatically exclude all the games and see what happens. But you, of course, can exclude all your games, both the web games and the app games, and then you can go ahead and come back 60 days later and see how the overall display campaign performance did. Did it go up or go down? That's how you tell whether or not you want to exclude games, given that you can't go back and look at past performance very easily. Technically, in the where ads showed report, you could go and you could single out and highlight every single game manually, but that would take a whole shitload of time, and you wouldn't want to do that. So for the most part, you would just exclude all the games and just watch your campaign performance carefully and see that, make sure you made the right decision. It's very easy to make changes and then, kind of forget about them and then make another change, and then something else, your performance, goes down, and then so you start making other changes. And this is a common fallacy that I see people make. What you want to do is make very, very calculated changes, and this goes for any kind of PPC you're doing. Very, very calculated changes. Make your changes, wait a couple months for the changes to stabilize, and then look at your performance before making any big changes again itself. Sometimes you can change bids a little bit here and there, or add a few negative keywords here and there, small changes. But for significant changes, you don't want to be making them all at once, because ultimately, you're going to make a change and you're going to forget about it, and then when you make another change, you're going to think that the new change affected your results, and really it was the previous change before that. So you want to leave enough time between each change so you could easily differentiate what each change actually did. And then you need to leave enough time between each change just from the standpoint that every single time you make a change, your account performance is going to take a beating, just because the algorithm has to relearn how to run your campaigns again. So, and that's why there's a saying in carpentry where you measure twice and you cut once. Well, in PPC, it's you double, triple, you look through what you're going to do 2 or 3 times before you ever make a change, given that when you make that change, you're going to take a hit in performance just because you made a change. Whether that change was going to be beneficial for you in the long term or not, you got to go through with some negative, period of results before you ever get the rise up, so to say. And respectively, if you're going to be doing it right, to make sure the campaign has a slow, steady rise to the top, and you're not really going to jeopardize your campaign, you're going to have to make a change, and you're going to have to wait a while before you can make another big change. Your goal is to think very, very thoroughly about all possible options you could do. Make a change, wait, and then make another change 60 days later, and keep doing that, and then build your campaign performance long-term in that way, or with that strategy. That's how you build up really good results. So it's not a get-rich-quick scheme with PPC. It's, how can I make a change? What are all my possible options? Let's make a change, and then let's hope that we got a 10% improvement on what we did. And then 2 months later, we can do something else and go through that same process again. But it's small changes like I talked about here, getting rid of all the game traffic, getting a 10% difference in your ROI, and then doing another thing and another thing and another thing. And pretty soon your performance have doubled over the course of, 18 months, and you're profitable, or you're now twice as profitable, and then you just keep going. The people who make tons of money at PPC, it's not, unless you have a fantastic, groundbreaking product or service, it's not done overnight. It's done through stacking up small gains on top of each other, and for that matter, the algorithm can't manage constant change in your campaigns. even if all the changes were good, you constantly make big changes in your campaign, the algorithm's not going to know what to fucking do with all your changes. It does the best, as you're talking about Google, but also Facebook, making a change and then only having to deal with that one small individual change. And then when the results normalize from that, doing another change and then another change and then another change versus multiple changes at once. The algorithm, the bigger the change, the more the algorithm's going to have to deal with, and actually the bigger negative results growth you're going to get, but short term. But the main thing is you don't do it because the algorithm doesn't like it, and you can't differentiate one change from another when you try to do too many at once. And just doing a change and doing another change a week later, the two changes are going to bleed into each other because it generally takes more than 7 days for the algorithm to re-stabilize and relearn how to run your ads. I say, make a big change and don't do another big change for 60 days. That would be playing it particularly safe, but you might be able to get by, making a change and a month later making a change. So you don't just make change after change after change is my point. That's if you start to do that, more than likely you're going to end up having the results go bad, and then you're going to think to make another change to fix that, and then that's going to screw up your results even more, and then you're going to make another change to fix that, and then pretty soon your entire, whatever you had with your campaign is going to go completely to the toilet. That's not how you build up a campaign. Not to plug my videos too hard here, but you watch my videos and there's all these different possibilities to get a 10, 20, 30, 50% gain in performance on a campaign. You go study them. You rank stack what seems like the most appropriate thing for you, and you do the best one. And then you wait a little while and you made sure that whatever you did actually improved your results before doing the next one. So anyway, I'll wrap the video kind of up with that. That's how you exclude game traffic, and that's generally a good way to improve your ROI 10, 20% overall. I mean, granted, sometimes it could be more depending on how much game traffic you got, obviously, but sometimes just on the app side, I've seen it's actually fairly common where half of the traffic is coming from the app. So if you're in a business-to-business context, that can double the campaign performance just with that one change. If you're not selling to businesses, respectively, games can sort of maybe be okay, but again, they're going to be least ROI producing thing of your campaign that you have, and excluding the games that can give you a 10-20% improvement in your ROI just from that one activity, excluding all the game apps and then all the web-based games as well. So respectively, business to business wise, I would exclude all the games right away anyway, pretty much. And then on a business to consumer side, if your ROI isn't there, this is an easy thing to just get your ROI up a little bit higher than what it was almost basically every time. So anyway, I'll wrap it up with that. Hope you enjoyed this video. And I have a ton of other videos on this channel that you could watch that have other money-making strategies that you can employ, in which we are testing and know work at our PPC agency, and which I'm giving to you as our strategies that we're using here with our clients to guarantee the results. So as far as actionable advice on how to make PPC better, on YouTube, this is literally the best information you're going to find. So if you want to learn how to make a ton of money at PPC, this is the channel for you. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like. And if you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. As a side note, I also, by the way, have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step information on how I build my campaigns for our clients here at our firm to guarantee the results. On this channel, we have high-level information, how to do certain techniques that make money on PPC, or avoid losing money with, or to avoid losing money. On my blog that I personally have written, it's details about how to set up campaigns and the actual strategies, step by step, how to set them up and what works there. So it's a great supplementary piece of information that could help you if you like my channel already. As a final note, we have a brand new program at our firm where we are offering turnkey PPC campaigns. So if you're looking to start up a business locally, instead of just trying to figure out how to do PPC for yourself, you could select basically from our list of campaigns that we've already got multi-million-dollar a year sales results in, because we've worked with clients in other markets that you wouldn't be competing in, hypothetically. And you could just copy and paste the campaign template that we have for that market already for your business and know pretty much what the results you can get ahead of time before even having to step foot into that market about what PPC can do. And then just automatically, because our campaigns are better than most other campaigns in most markets that we're in, or just based upon the work that we do, you'll be able to copy and paste the best results in that market for yourself. And as it comes to PPC, Google search ads, or we also have display campaigns that you can use like that. But for the most part, it's a competition between you and your competitors about who's going to get the best return. And if you're automatically using the best strategy, you can automatically assume you're going to have a good profit, because that's kind of how the math works out. Google charges as much as they can for the traffic, so that at least the people on top can make some money, and you'll be at the top of the pile in terms of the performance, the efficiency of the campaign. Google will prefer showing you. They give you the best rate on the traffic as a result, in terms of having that click-through rate higher than anybody else, and the conversion rate on the landing page that we would be able to also hook you up with higher than anybody else. So we actually give you the whole campaign template, landing page, and everything, and we show you the results you can get up front. So if you're looking to start a business, or maybe we even have a template for your market already, so you don't have to do all this learning on how to do PPC for yourself. You could copy paste the exact results that we got for that market already. And so it's just a different alternative way. Instead of working with a PPC agency, we can give you the copy paste template that works in that market already, and you can manage it yourself, obviously for less money than full management of your account would take or would have. So for somebody starting out brand new, it's actually pretty good, or fairly new, as management fees from a high-end PPC firm like ours may not be on the table, but having the results given to you, that in itself is just a one-time investment, and then from there there's no monthly cost to that. So anyway, reach out to our firm if you're interested in what markets we already have results in. We have results in e-commerce markets, and also a lot of services, national, local services, and dozens and dozens of markets. And we know what the results are ahead of time. So you can, if you're interested, reach out, and we'll let you know kind of what we have available, what results you can get in those markets. I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll see you on my next video, where we have another fantastic money-making PPC strategy for you there as well. See you later.